We're here with Freshworks CEO Girish Mathrubootham, and we're talking about Freshworks' grand plan, how they're targeting the SMB space, and the competition with Salesforce, and a bunch of others. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
So let's talk about the Dreamforce happened recently, and you guys had a blimp that said Salesforce. Walk me through, why poke a bear? A big one at that.
Okay, so I think the whole idea was to really, this was part of our brand awareness campaign, which we rebranded the company as Freshworks last year. And we really wanted to kind of use this as an opportunity to tell our story. And what really we are, the message, broader message that we are bringing on is, we believe that it's a time for a refresh in terms of software, specifically the large enterprise software where it's expensive. You need these consultants to come in and integrate. And funny, if you think about it, 20 years ago, when Salesforce did this to Siebel, the whole promise was, hey, it's the cloud. It just has to work off the browser. You don't need to bring in the consultants. You don't need to spend $1 million to kind of go live with your year-long implementation. Ironically, that's exactly what has happened today. And that's what we wanted to highlight in terms of it's the cloud. It really has to be out of the box and work naturally without having the need to bring in so many consultants to get everything to work together. And that really was the idea. That's our message. That's what our customers love about us. So we came up with this concept of employees revolting against big bloated software, because at the end of the day, the users who are using it in traditional enterprise software sense, they don't really have the say in terms of buying the software. So our software is actually discovered on the web, and a lot of times we sell bottom up, not top down. So we just came up with this idea, which a lot of users told us why they liked our software. So we felt that is a good message that will resonate with the audience that we have in mind. So that was the whole campaign.
So I've been watching the small business, medium-sized business space pretty much forever. And you're right, Salesforce came into this market. They started bottoms up and kind of worked their way to the top. NetSuite, very similar. Now it's part of Oracle, bigger thing. How are you going to be different going forward? And, if I'm a small business or a mid-sized business, traditionally I look to a company like Intuit, who I know, that they've been loyal to that market and haven't really wavered. I guess, what's your take on that?
Yeah. So, see, I think it's very important. You brought up Intuit, which is a great example, but Intuit operates in a market where every business needs tax software or accounting software. So they also sell to less than 10 employee companies. But what really is the differentiating or what's different with our approach, Larry, is that you have to really understand the US model or the Silicon Valley model of scaling a SaaS business is proven. But while it's proven, it doesn't really serve well to, or it's not suited to serve the long tail of the global SMB. So the model is dependent on going up market and selling to the enterprise, because when you actually have salespeople and the territories are shrinking and you want to grow in revenues, you really want to go up market and close those $1 million deals or $350K deals. What we really have is a business model disruption where we are able to serve the long tail of the global SMB profitably. To understand this, you have to probably look at the only other company that I can think of and quote is Atlassian, which also started off outside the valley. When the Atlassian IPO happened, I'm sure you also saw, along with the rest of Wall Street and Silicon Valley, on how different the economics of the model was. Even though Atlassian didn't have a lot of SMB customers, their price points were SMB. The highest price point was $8,000, right? Even Walmart paid them $8,000 one-time fee. So I think what Atlassian shows you is a glimpse of a different model where you call it the flywheel effect, where a lot of teams just buy the software off the web and then you grow through land and expand inside those companies. So that is the closest model that I can tell you, because we started in Chennai, India, like 8 years ago. We did not have any customers in Chennai, and we didn't have many customers in India also, for that fact. So we were actually, from day one, we had to go global. Our first customer came from Australia. When we had 6 customers, we had them from 4 different continents. When we had 70 customers, the average that a customer was paying us was $30 a month. We were $30 a month was the revenue per customer in 2011. We were really starting from the SMB, and then we started like building more products, expanding our product plans, expanding our portfolio, offering customers more features to get them to upgrade to more higher plans or add more agents or try other products. So I think what we had is fundamentally a different business model of acquiring customers online and selling profitably to the long tail of the global SMB. And what helped us was, like, the tailwind that we rode, in hindsight, I can tell you, was all the SMBs actually going through this digital transformation. 12 years, 13 years ago, like, SMBs did not have the budget to go and buy or spend $100,000 to buy on-premise software. But today they can put their credit card and pay $100 or $200 a month and actually buy software. And we were probably at the right place at the right time in terms of bringing that software to them and being able to sell to them globally from Chennai.
Are SMBs, are they the same globally? Do they have the same worries, concerns?
So I think
is there a difference between an SMB in Australia versus the US versus EU? I mean, I know the regulations and all that, the taxes, all that stuff's different, but what are some of the common things?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, there are software categories where there is a lot of country-specific dependencies, like payroll or accounting. The categories that we play in, like CRM or customer support help desk or IT service desk. So these are all pretty horizontal categories where there are no country-specific dependencies. The only dependencies are languages are different. For example, in the Middle East, you have right to left language support, and those are the most important changes, which are probably not that hard compared to rebuilding the software to comply with all the local regulations. Also, if you look at pretty much the English-speaking markets, when you're talking about UK, a lot of Europe, Australia, Canada, these are all very similar. And when we say SMB, we are not really talking about the less than 10 employee companies. Our definition of SMB is less than 500 employees. So anywhere from 50 to 500 employees, we call them as SMBs. We also have thousands of customers in the mid-market, like 500 to 5,000 employees. So it's important call out to distinguish between a less than 10 employee mom and pop store. We don't actually sell into that. That's not our segment, because we don't have the software to sell them. Meaning they don't have a customer support team with 5 people and so on.
Right. Okay. So that smaller market, is that where there's somebody like Zoho plays?
So Zoho definitely is one of our, I spent 10 years working at Zoho. I don't know if you know, before starting Freshworks, I was VP of product at Zoho. I joined them in 2001 as a pre-sales engineer and spent almost close to 10 years there. So I was running the manage engine division of Zoho.
Okay. So you guys are competitors?
In some product categories, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You recently rolled out some AI with the Omnibot. I guess, what's your AI strategy? I could almost see your blimps flying over on that, because I see Salesforce, Einstein's an add-on. There's a thing called add-on plus. There's an Einstein Plus, which is another add-on to the add-on. What's your AI strategy in terms of bringing that to companies and, into CRM and all that? What's the strategy?
So Freddy, the Omnibot, is our AI platform. The first thing we have done is We have not made it as part of any product. We have made it as part of the Freshworks portfolio, which means Freddy can work across your help desk or CRM or marketing automation across all of our product categories. So from a functionality standpoint, we are focusing on 3 broad areas. Number one, which is most obvious, which is where most of the players are playing, is how can Freddy help your customers in terms of engaging with them and trying to automate some of the standard queries. So we do not actually believe in companies handing over their entire support or customer engagement to the bots or to AI, because we believe that businesses want to automate for faster and better customer experience, but they don't want the customers to have a bad experience. So one of our Freddy capabilities is the confidence level. When Freddy knows that Freddy can engage and answer a question, the bot will engage. If Freddy is not sure, we have a seamless transition to a live agent. And part of Freddy's capability and our strategy is how can we help the employee in our customer, like whether it's a salesperson or a support person. We have something called as Agent Assist. So Freddy can now help the customer support person or the sales rep or the marketer with next best actions, or in terms of business use cases, like in high volume call centers or contact centers. One of the key business problems is how do you bring a new agent up to speed quickly? Like there is a lot of churn in high volume contact centers. So training the agents is an expensive affair. So what we have built and deployed in Sling TV, for example, is one of our customers using that, where agents can get trained. Like for example, if you have a Sling TV at home and if you have a problem with the broadcast, or if one of the channels is not playing, you can contact Sling on the phone. But if you happen to land with a new agent, so Freddy can actually guide the agent on asking you the right questions, maybe what kind of a box that you have or what kind of a package. It can pull all the relevant information and actually guide the agent with the next set of questions. So that is a very strong use case which we are seeing our customers really like, and they're actually preferring that more to even customer deflection. So they want agent assist more than end user engagement for the bots. The third aspect is manager insights, where customer engagement is one aspect, but how can Freddy use data insights to actually predict or understand the data to predict some of the insights? Because as managers, see, 70% of the time, the insights that we bring after looking at reports is also learnable. So it's only 20-30% of the time that you actually come up with new insights based on all the knowledge that we have. So a lot of standard insights, like a sales manager reviewing the performance of all the sales reps, or a customer support manager looking at what are the frequently asked questions, or doing load planning for or resource planning for the holiday season. So a lot of that is actually machine learnable. So Freddy can also do insights. One of the cool new technologies we are working on is if you think about reports, a lot of times you need power users to understand what reports to go and look at and really know how to correlate different aspects of the report. We are bringing natural language technology where you can go and ask a question and Freddy will bring the right chart to that. So basically the shift is, okay, you don't have to be a power user to really know which report to ask. You ask question in natural language, like, hey, what is my response time for my support group? Or what is my SLA compliance for last month? So, and then these English questions can be translated into charts and reports, which will be delivered by Freddy.
So your machine learning team, how much have you, what can you use off the shelf versus what you have to use to, I mean, I guess what do you acquire versus what do you build versus what do you buy, that kind of thing?
Okay, so some of the basic what I would call fundamental AI ML capabilities, we actually use or rely on platforms like the Stanford NLP API or the Google API. So we use stuff from Google or Stanford or Amazon, wherever it's relevant. Most of the stuff that we build is in the context of our domain. Like, for example, how can we use AI in the customer support domain, in the help desk domain, or the CRM domain? So that is what we build. And then we also, we have not announced it yet, but like one of the companies that we acquired is in this area of, they've done deep research for more than 6 years, I think, in terms of really translating NLP into SQL queries. Like they can ingest any database model, understand the tables and the relationships, and then understand NLP to really translate it into queries that can be run on the table. So that technology we acquired. So we actually focus on our core areas, which is customer engagement, help desk, CRM, or that is the area where we build ourselves. We bought some good technology when it was when we know that it takes a lot of years, several years to develop something like that. And when something is available off the shelf, we definitely ride on top of that, whether it's open source or Google APIs.
Okay. How big is the company now in terms of employees?
So we are 1,600 plus.
Okay. And all those are based in India?
No. So majority, all the product development and engineering happens in India, but we have offices in San Francisco, London, Berlin, and Sydney.
Okay. And yeah, you recently had a bunch of venture rounds, and you added a few executives in HR and I think marketing. How's the build out of the team going?
So I think right now we are, the leadership team is fully built out. We hired a CFO, CMO, and the chief HR officer. So I think we already had, like last year, 2 years ago, we had the head of engineering come from Walmart Labs, moved from Valley to Chennai. And then last year, we hired the managing director of Akamai India as the chief revenue officer. So I think right now, we are pretty covered. I still play the role of chief product officer. So we haven't hired a chief product officer yet. But I think apart from that, everything else is rounded out.
What are some of the challenges when you're growing? I mean, you guys just got up to what, 100 million in annual recurring revenue. You've come a long way pretty fast. What are some of the management challenges with that, and what are some of the perks?
Yeah, so I think earlier this year we announced that we crossed 100. We are north of that now, and definitely, we took us 5 years and 2 months to go from 1 million ARR to 100 million ARR. So we didn't realize that it is actually almost best in class in terms of growth. There are 1 or 2 companies like Slack which grew even faster. But if you look at most of the Valley companies, I think the 1 to 100 journey usually takes 5 to 6 years for best in class companies. And it's been phenomenal ride. And I would say the biggest challenge has been scaling culture. So like when you get so many new hires, new people coming from different backgrounds, all of them joining with their own experiences. So getting everybody to like really understand the Freshworks way of working and leveraging their muscle memory in terms of their past experiences, but at the same time, making sure we adapt to a new style or at least develop a common framework for decision making and working. That has been the biggest challenge, I would say. We have had our share of challenges in terms of 2015. I think we hired a lot more salespeople than we hired engineers. So our sales wheel was spinning faster than the engineering wheel. Our engineering got slammed and so on. And those were all big lessons. But I think the hardest is scaling culture. I think when we realized that, I think till employee number 250 or so, I was directly interviewing everybody and walking them through the company founding story and culture and so on. So between 250 to 500, somewhere in that range, I think 450, we kind of got busy with all the growth and fundraising, and we didn't have an onboarding program and so on. So I think that was when we realized the challenges of scaling culture. I think from 500 to 1600, we've done a lot of work in terms of internal The other challenge is internal communication system, because culture is very dependent on communication, right? So when you don't have the right communication systems, then that was a factor. So we fixed all of that. We use Workplace by Facebook. I think 2 years ago, we just rolled it out, and it's become a big hit in our company. Like, it helps us to be connected as a company. So I think, but I'm not complaining. In spite of all the challenges, it has been a phenomenal ride.
Yeah, it's not a bad problem to have. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.